Amphibia is back with a brand spanking new spooky special. But despite the creepified intro, this not holiday doesn't have all the trimmings of the Halloween humans like Ann and us are used to. I'm here to help break down all the Easter eggs hidden in this eerie episode. Hit that subscribe button and bell and grab your flamethrower. I'm Chris Carr, and we're breaking down Amphibia's Halloween special, The Shut-In. Before we get to boarding up our windows and doors, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsors who made this video possible. Spoiler warning! If you haven't tuned into The Shut-In yet, you definitely want to watch that before diving into this video. I'll be here when you're ready. Okay, now with that out of the way, on to The Shut-In! First and foremost, we should note that creator Matt Braley has tweeted that this episode was intended to be an evergreen episode that existed outside of the series canon. This was all done to ensure that the episode could air in the fall. However, the episode was intended to air after Night Drivers and Return to Wartwood, which is slated to air in the spring of 2021. Just keep in mind that in this episode, they've already returned to Wartwood, but the next episode you'll watch will have them returning to Wartwood. It's a little confusing. Also, the events of this episode supposedly won't influence the show's plot as we move forward. That being said, there's still a lot to unpack in this special. The Amphibia crew gave us an incredibly fun episode with tons of little nuggets for fans to enjoy. The Shut-In, in theory, appears to be the Amphibia-fied version of Halloween, only everyone is insistent that it's not a holiday. Instead, it's a night where frogs must board themselves into their homes to avoid looking at the blue moon. Gazing upon a blue moon is said to make you transform into a hideous beast. As our crew gathers shut-in supplies, we see the rest of the town carving fear gourds and reinforcing their windows. We can even spot Wartwood food critic Albus Duckweed reading a how-to book titled Lock Me Up, a Guide. In addition to battening down the hatches, part of the shut-in tradition is to tell stories that are so terrifying, you're too scared to go outside. The only caveat is that these stories had to actually have happened to you. Polly is stoked to participate this year because she has an actual scary story to tell. Unfortunately, the family was along with her to experience all of these events. The running gag here is that Polly's story names are the exact episode titles she's referencing. The family meeting cannibals is from A Night at the Inn, being controlled by fungus is from Children of the Spore, and meeting Anne is, well, the crux of the show. Anne's story, Phone Mo, is supposedly based on events that happened to a girl much like herself. In changing the details of the story, Anne changes her school from St. James to St. Joe's, her own name to Anna, and the children in the story are human versions of some of her amphibian friends. Sprig becomes Twig, Polly Molly, Maddie Hattie, and Toady Brody. Brody even has a phone charm with Toadie's face attached to it. There's also a trio of unnamed schoolgirls who kind of look like a hodgepodge of Anne and her friends. So perhaps this is just the St. Joe's alternate universe version of those three. In this tale, there's a cute animal video online that supposedly curses anyone who watches it. And Anna can't avoid the temptation. She watches and notes that it has 0 dislikes, possibly making it the only video in the history of the internet that everyone likes. Ugh, the dream. When back at home, Anna receives a phone call from Twig, who wants to warn her about their friends going missing, thus the curse being real. His ringtone is an 8-bit version of the show's theme song. Anna realizes that her friends are trapped in this video, and that one dude's been in there for 35 years, which doesn't really math out. Commercial internet wasn't a thing in 1985, and we didn't have YouTube until 2005, but hey, I like the Jumanji-ness of this gag. He's Alan Parrish. This whole story feels like a nod to both Gremlins and The Ring, especially once we have the creature crawl through Anne's phone to terrorize her. She throws everything she can at it. Those teen dating magazines she talked about, and a stuffed animal version of Hot Pop. During this scene, we see that Anna has posters from Power Pal, a Gundam-looking robot not too dissimilar from the vegetable monster we see in Handy Ann, and for Suspicion Island, the reality series that Anne gets Hot Pop addicted to. There are also posters for Thailand and a pop musician. As her encounter with the beast escalates, we can see Anna's bedroom door. This is decorated with 3 stars, grouped and colored in a similar fashion to the jewels on the Calamity box. Anna is able to defeat the monster through dislikes and nasty comments, causing the monster to explode into boba pearls and release the children. The boba, I assume, is another nod to Anne's Thai heritage and Thai bubble tea. Of course, once the kids leave to go eat haunted hamburgers, the boba turns out to be eggs that spawn new little monsters, hitting us again with some gremlin vibes and a touch of alien. We learn that Wally's birthday happens to fall on Shut-In Day, which is awful. But honestly, isn't that how literally all of us have felt celebrating birthdays in quarantine? Man, I feel you, Wally. I feel you. Hot Pop's entry for Best Scary Story is called Dead End, and features the one and only Mr. George Takei as a suspicious character called Mr. Littlepot. Apparently, back in the day, HP had some glorious Johnny Bravo-esque hair, and wasn't the ascot-loving fellow we all know and love. He was a bow tie man, because bow ties are cool. Similarly slickly dressed, Mr. Littlepot wears a suit adorned with an hourglass lapel pin, holds a vulture skull cane, and possesses a pocket watch with a frog skull etched onto it. If the visual cues didn't do it for you, LP is death, and Hot Pop is taking him to make his rounds to usher folks off this mortal plane. His first stop is with Old Man Hopkins, who has red leg, a disease we first encountered in the episode Contagion. It gives you guessed it, red limbs, and once the redness spreads all over your body, you die. His next victim sounds like Sadie Croker, who it is implied is bitten by a slaughter snake, a three-eyed snake with a scorpion tail. We've encountered other dangerous creatures with scorpion tails before, like the Scorpileo in Anhunter. We probably see this as a danger for the frogs often because of the scorpion and the frog fable, which is basically a lesson in horrible people not being able to resist hurting others, even when it's not in their best interest. I imagine scorpions will continue to appear throughout the series as dangers. Littlepot's cane becomes a scythe, truly hammering home that he's death, but rather than using it to strike down HP, he uses it to cut off Hot Pop's glorious hair and take it for himself. This gave me Greg Universe hair loss PTSD, and I feel victimized. Also, I love the little aside with Hot Pop warning Sprig about male pattern baldness in his future. Sprig's story, Skin Deep, starts with him out playing bug ball with his best gal Ivy. The two break a window in a mysterious, creepy house and must retrieve the ball. Inside, we see knitting needles covered with blood, which we totally shrug off, but we also spot glowing red mushrooms. In fact, we'll see the mushrooms all over the woods. While the mushrooms featured in Children of the Spore were pinker in hue, and we have seen other colored mushrooms like blue ones used to illuminate porches and the like, I couldn't help but wonder if these were more cordyceps sprouting up around Mortwood. Let me know if you were worried about that too. Sprig and Ivy come across a pile of frog skins, confirming that they're in the house of the fabled seamstress, a monster who sews frog skins together. Why? Turns out this frog is a glass frog. This actual species of frogs is typically a lime green color with a transparent abdomen. Its internal organs, such as the heart, liver, and intestines, are actually visible through its skin. Hence the name. Pokemon tangent! The Poliwrath evolution line is based on the glass frog. That swirl is their organs. This skin suit crafting story is by far the creepiest. This lines up with Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and serial killer Ed Gein. All creeps that like to make skin suits. We also get some zombie-influenced lore when the gang worries about the seamstress having bit Ivy. Is she now a horrifying glass frog? Will she murder the family for their skin? In the story, Ivy and Sprig leave the misunderstood glass frog to burn alive in her home, a fate much like Freddy Krueger's. Ivy gives Sprig a little smooch, making Sprivy fans everywhere rejoice! After giving the planters a fright, Ivy runs back to her home in her burlap seamstress mask so as not to look at the moon. On her way out, she runs into a scarecrow. Nice touch. They blindfolded him so he can't transform in the moonlight either. Frustrated that she has no scary story, Polly hops out into the moonlight, hoping to transform. And she does, becoming some sort of werewolf pollywog creature. This is where I'm a little bummed this story isn't canon. I'm all in for Polly becoming the beast she is inside literally once in a blue moon. We end the episode with our closing credits, but instead of Anne and Sprig sitting together reading, we see their skeletons slumped against each other with something truly terrifying. Anne's phone screen shattered! The horror! This episode definitely helped me get my Amphibia fix, and was well worth the month-long break thanks to all these treats they stuffed inside the special. I, of course, though, want more, and really need spring of 2021 to get here faster. While this was a fun romp, I need all of my Amphibia questions answered, and what other tricks the Calamity Box has in store for us explained. Of course, these are just my thoughts while watching this special. Question is, what did y'all think of the Shut-In? Are you hoping for more of these outside canon stories, or do you want to keep the plot moving forward? Hit me with your hot takes in the comments below. If you liked this video, give it a like, and click to the left to check out more cartoon content. Thanks again to all of our donors on Patreon, and thank you for watching. See ya, Space Cowboy.